Let me start with this, because we had someone from Trump Corporation on last night to talk about the book because he was quoted heavily. And he said some was true, some wasn't. What do you make of the accuracy of this book?
So far, the book's not out yet. We've seen excerpts
Yeah, based
come out.
on,
Right.
yeah.
And the excerpts come out show that there are some narratives that sound that they could be interesting. But by and large,
what do you mean by interesting?
That it's like there are certain things that I've read that say that this event happened and that's plausible.
Okay.
But there's a lot of the quotes that I know are attributed to myself and other people that frankly never happened. And if you read the author's note that he put in the book that I've obtained a copy of, he makes it clear that, you know, Michael Wolff, who has a history of fabricating stuff, who is a very questionable past, and a lot of reporters are now kind of digging into this and saying, you know, we've got to question his sourcing here. He admits that he never brought any note. He took notes. He didn't bring a recorder to the thing. There is no question that the accuracy of this book is definitely in question. And I know from some of the things that were written that don't pertain to me, definitely didn't happen with respect to the president, the first lady.
Yeah, the White House today called it a complete fantasy.
But I was around them, not in every instance by any means.
Right.
But the idea that, you know, Melania Trump was the one who encouraged President Trump to run for office. She was very supportive of this. The idea that she was crying is nonsense. She's been very supportive of her president, of the president, of his agenda, and of him personally. And so I think that you start to.
So who let this guy in then?
The biggest problem that I have, though, is
why was he given access?
Hold on, but at what point, the question is, if 10% isn't true, if 20% isn't true, if 30%, what is the reader supposed to guess? What is accurate and what isn't? But I know from what I've seen so far that there is a lot of this, if not, and we've only seen the excerpts, that is definitely a problem.
But why did he get so much access then?
Well,
if
and
it was widely known that he's kind of a discredited.
Because we don't know how much access he got. What we do know.
He said he talked to 200 people in the White House.
I can talk to 200 people in the middle of Columbus Circle. That doesn't mean that I had a ton of access. I meant he wrote he talked to 200 people.
Well, he got Steve Bannon on the record?
Sure. So we know he talked to Steve Bannon. I talked to him. He came in and said, I would like to write a book about the president, as did several people during my tenure. And they made an appointment and they came in. That's how it works. And so to the extent that, and from what I understand, Steve had set him up with appointments to come in and visit him over time. That's what happens. He came in as any guest that has an appointment.
Well, and Bannon hasn't denied any of.
Right, and I was going to say, I mean, the other issue right now is, you know, you played that clip from Steve, and while he may continue to say he's a supporter of the president and his agenda, what we didn't hear is a denial, and that is what, as a PR person, troubles me. I mean, the first thing that you do when you're attacked with a falsehood is not only deny it, but go out and really make the case for it. I haven't heard any of that. That's what I think.
Do you think the stuff that he said, both according to Michael Wolff and in previous articles where he's maybe perhaps leaked stuff himself, do you think that he's been loyal to the president? Well, or like the statement from the White House said, is Steve Bannon all about himself?
Well, I think if you're all about the president, if you're all about his agenda, then you don't you don't attack the first lady. You don't attack the president's family. That should be off limits. Regardless of this NDA that Steve signed, I think just in terms of true professionalism and loyalty and decency, you don't go after the president's family. You don't make up things about people. And again, and a lot of it, admittedly, is speculative. The stuff about Don Jr., he wasn't present for. And he goes out there and attacks Don Jr. and says, well, if I were there and knowing what I know, well, you don't know. You weren't there. And to make those kind of allegations, which are very serious about something about the president's son, is out of bounds.
Do you believe that Steve Bannon has a motive to run for president or anything like that?
Look, here's what I do know. If Donald Trump runs for re-election, he will be the nominee of the Republican Party, and he will serve a second term. I mean, that's what I know.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the other rift in the party, which is that Donald Trump is losing some Republican support among Republicans writ large. In February, he had an 84% approval rating. November, 76. White evangelicals, in February, he was at 78. November, 61. Among men, crucial to his election, February 45, down 5 points in November. Do you think there's a plan, either at the RNC or with Trump, to recapture some of those voters? Does he have to?
Of course he does. I mean, you have close elections the last several cycles. You have to get them back, and I think he will. You're seeing some of the fruits of the Tax and Jobs Cut Act already come in, where people are starting to give him credit as companies give out bonuses, as people see that. The economy is going to be the #1 thing going for the president going in to this, and I think he's doing that. The RNC is going to continue to make sure that they have the data ready to identify key voters and bring them back into the fold. But it's the president's accomplishments that are going to keep him ahead to get him a second term. I mean, when you look at this, I know you've been critical of the president. Is there what is it going to take to get someone like you back on the team?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the short answer is put Twitter down. But it's more than that. It's not just the tweets, which I find really unproductive and kind of alarming sometimes and embarrassing. It's what he does with Twitter, which is such an important platform.
Twitter off the table.
No. It's within Twitter. It's attacking the press.
Okay.
I don't like his hostility to the press. I think undermining institutions like the press, the military, our intelligence services, our foreign services, that's bad. And I don't like that tactic.
Look, I would say with respect to all three of those, but especially the military, the president has tremendous respect, and he's made it very clear. With the press, and I've said this before, he has respect for them, but he's going to make it very clear that
I think it's very much Donald Trump's mission to undermine the trust of many institutions so that he himself